Hi folks, what I've got here is the 3-rail O-Scale Fairbanks-Morse H-16-44 from Lionel, and we're going to check it out today on Eric's Trains. Alright, so before we delve into the Lionel model that we have here, let's go over a little bit of history on the real H-16-44. The H-16-44 was a road switcher produced by Fairbanks-Morse between 1950 and 1963. The locomotive shared an identical platform and car body with the predecessor FM H-15-44, and they were equipped with the same 8-cylinder opposed piston engine that had been upgraded to 1,600 horsepower. Now, one of the cool things about the H-16-44 is that those produced through 1954 featured numerous Raymond Loewy design touches. And as many of you know, Raymond Loewy was a famous industrial designer, and he designed many iconic locomotives, especially for the Pensy. He did the GG1, the S1, and the T1, and he also contributed to this design. And so you can see it in these sloping lines off the cab and these curves and so forth, and it gives the locomotive a very distinct look. Now, unfortunately, as production progressed, eventually many of these design aspects were cut out to save costs, and by the time the final production run of H-16-44s were underway in mid-1955, they more closely resembled the FM Trainmaster series. Now, although many Fairbanks-Morse diesel locomotives like this one had a very unique and interesting look to them, ultimately none of them were very successful, and that's why eventually Fairbanks-Morse dropped out of the locomotive business altogether, because they simply couldn't keep up with EMD and GE, and a lot of that was their fault. They had some serious design problems. For example, one of their biggest problems was the use of the opposed piston engine in their diesel locomotives. That engine was borrowed from their marine division. Fairbanks-Morse made diesel engines for submarines and boats, and they used the opposed piston design, and it worked well in submarines and boats, and so they figured it would work well in their diesel locomotives, but ultimately it proved to be a maintenance nightmare, and they were very unreliable, and that was just one of the many factors that contributed to their downfall. And so only 209 H-16-44s were built for American railroads. Another 58 were made for Canada, and 32 were made for Mexico, and that was it. And of all the ones that were made, only 3 of them remain intact today. So Lionel's latest rendition of the H-16-44 was offered in their 2016 Volume 1 catalog, and these were delivered in early 2018. Now, they offered this model in 6 different road names. They did Milwaukee Road, like we have here. They did Akron, Canton, and Youngstown, B&O, Lackawanna, Southern, and Santa Fe, and each road name is available in 2 different road numbers. Stats-wise, the length of this model is just over 13 inches, right at 13 1/8 inches. The weight is 3 pounds 14 ounces. This model has 1 pound 4 ounces of pulling power, which is a little bit on the light side, but then again, this is a small road switcher, so I wouldn't expect it to be a powerhouse of pulling power. But that small size does have one nice benefit, and that is that the minimum required curve for this model is 0.31. So that means this model is very friendly to layouts with tight curves. On the inside, this engine has everything you'd expect on a high-end Lionel O-Scale engine. You've got 2 vertically mounted flywheel motors, one above each truck. There's a fan-driven smoke unit for the smokestack. It's got all LED lighting, electrocouplers on either end, and then you've got Lionel's Legacy Command and Legacy Rail sounds on board. Now, this engine was put out just before Lionel started equipping all of their engines with Bluetooth, and so for that reason, you're not going to be able to run this with Lionel's Lion Chief app on your smartphone or tablet. However, you can still run this engine with Lionel's Legacy Command System, which is how I would do it anyway, because that gives you access to all of the engine's advanced features and functions. You can also run it with Lionel's classic TMCC command system, or you can run it conventionally with just a transformer and some track. Alright, the last thing we're going to do before we start this thing up is BFIMO, best feature in my opinion. You know, my favorite thing about these Fairbanks-Morse engines of this era is really the design. It's got a really cool retro look to it, and even though they did a lot of cost cutting in terms of design, you can really still see the Raymond Loewy influence in a lot of places, and it just gives these things such a unique look, and it's definitely something that gives this engine a unique look amongst my fleet. So my favorite feature is just the really cool retro look that this engine has. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start this thing up and have some fun with it. 3, 2, 1, lift off.
This is the dispatcher. Do you copy?
I copy that. Over.
Okay, start her up. Stand by for track orders.
Yes, sir. We'll fire her up. Out.
Okay, first up here is the horn, and I really like the horn on this engine. It's got a nice echo to it. It reminds me of the horn on the Vision Line Centipede. And here's the bell. Here's a sampling of some of the crew talk sounds.
Dispatcher, my fuel is just about empty. Am I cleared to the outbound? Over.
Roger, your track is clear. Dispatcher over.
Copy that, dispatcher. I'm green. Out.
Dispatcher here. You're cleared outbound. Over.
Roger that. Here we go. Out.
And finally, here's a sampling of the RPM sounds. Ready to roll it out. I've got some assorted rolling stock behind the H-16-44. Unfortunately, at this time, I do not have a Milwaukee Road caboose, so I've got a UP caboose as a stand-in. Anyway, let's go ahead and move it out. All right, so that about wraps it up for this review. I'm really glad I picked one of these up. It's a great little engine. If you're interested in picking one of these up, the original retail price was right at $550. But keep in mind that if you go through a good Lionel dealer, you should be able to get a bit of a discount off that retail price. And as always, if you're looking for a good train store, try my favorite train store, which is Legacy Station. You can find them on the web at www.legacystation.com or give them a call at 770-339-7780. Now, if you'd like to support Eric's Trains, I would greatly appreciate it. You can do that through Patreon at www.patreon.com/ericstrains. I'd like to put a big thank you out there to all of my current Patreon supporters. Your support means the world to me and to the future of this channel. And then finally, if you'd like to pick up an Eric's Trains t-shirt or anything else I might be selling, check out the Eric's Trains online store at www.ericstrains.com/store. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Eric Siegel, and I'll see you next time.